something that we all think about throughout every piece of that process for somebody is how can we make sure that this core memory is something really special and as easy as we can make it and as informative as we can make it. And we really do view it as a partnership.
You're listening to Build Up, a ZGM podcast. I'm Selena.
And I'm Jordan. And we're here to shake up the world of home builder marketing.
We have a great episode today with friends from Shane Homes. Who do we have on the show, Selena?
We have Shane Wenzel, who's the CEO and president of Shane Homes, as well as Liz Lipton. She is the customer experience manager. And we get to talk to them about brand and customer experience, one of our fave topics.
Of course, our fave topics. And also just like brand experience manager. Hello. What a great role.
I know. We're
so
a little
excited.
jelly.
Yeah, me too. So excited to talk to Liz and Shane all about brand experience and what it means to them.
Let's do it.
Shane and Liz, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. We're so happy to have you here talking all about brand experience and the Shane Homes way of doing brand experience. I want to start off with each one of you kind of giving your definition of what you think, what brand experience means. And yeah, we're going to start there. So what does brand experience mean to you?
To me, brand experience is made up with all the little moments and is how a brand and a company and their people can really connect with their customers. That brand experience is really about how people feel about your company and you and how they resonate with you on a feelings level. So to me, that's that brand experience. It's not necessarily the minutia of your process or any of that. It's how we make people feel and how we get to connect with our customers.
I would agree with that. But you were worried? Oh,
No.
Come on now, Liz.
I'm not worried. I know.
No, I would agree with that. But I mean, to me, a brand has always been, a living, breathing entity, and I think that's the way I always relate it to Shane Homes. I kind of look at it as a child and it's made up of a bunch of different bits and pieces, all the people who are in there. And, they make up the brand experience for the customer. And all you ask is that, that you make it a consistent but a very wow experience. I'll tell you what, I could never figure out why buying a new home was stressful for a lot of people. It should be fun. I mean, you're making the largest purchase of your entire life. Why isn't it fun? And, having people like Liz in place and a number of the staff, they enjoy coming into work every day, and that makes it fun for the consumer too. So that's a big part of this big child, as I call it, and the brand of Shane Homes is that we're out there to have fun building a new home.
I love that so much. Mm-hmm. Is that sort of the starting point? Like, is that ingrained in your brand, that idea of fun?
I would say so, yes.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time. Anytime we're making decisions, anytime we're, receiving feedback, giving feedback, connecting with new vendor partners, meeting new customers, the question we always run around the table is, how do we make sure it's fun? It has to be fun. We want to work with people who are fun. We want to be fun for people. We want our customers to have fun. It's so important to us.
That's amazing.
That's so nice. Yeah. And 100%, like, it's such a big purchase. It's such a big moment in somebody's life. Mm-hmm. And it is often connected with a stressful moment. So that's a really beautiful approach to, home buying process. I love that. Is there something specific in like kind of the customer experience when working with Shane Homes that you want to talk about?
Oh my gosh.
Big question.
That's a big question. Yeah. I think something that is really important to me, and, Shane hears me talk about it everybody here hears me talk about it all the time, is that I think something that makes us really special because we keep it front of mind is that we remember that it can be a stressful and overwhelming purchase and experience because of how big it is and because of how emotional it is. And, I think it's so important to remember that when someone thinks about those huge milestones in their life, one of the things everybody talks about, when I grow up, one day I'll buy a house. Like, it is a big, big thing. Yeah. And we try really hard to remember that we are being invited to be a part of somebody's core memory, and that is not to be taken lightly. And having the privilege of being able to be a part of what that memory is for somebody and how they felt about that period of their life and how they tell that to people is such a lucky thing we get to do every day, and what a fun and cool job we have. And so when you think about the customer experience with Shane Homes, it's something that we all think about throughout every piece of that process for somebody is how can we make sure that this core memory is something really special and as easy as we can make it and as informative as we can make it. And we really do view it as a partnership. We're not just selling you something and then you take it. We want to be alongside you through that whole process, making sure that it's comfortable and you feel informed and you don't feel intimidated to ask us questions that might feel silly, because you know that we are here with you and we want you to know, we want to support you, and we want you to feel excited and that we're approachable through that entire process. So I think that's something that really resonates with me at Shane Homes. I've worked for a lot of home builders, and I think that everybody obviously really cares in this industry, and we all really try to do that. But I think something special about Shane Homes is that every single person who's within these walls and an extension of us also really cares about that. And we all really try to keep it top of mind.
That's really interesting. And so obviously the home building process and the relationship that you build with the client can end up being months for some customers. And that's like a daunting relationship for a lot of businesses. How do you pick and choose and sort of identify the opportunities to make sure that the brand experience is so high quality?
I think it's consistency in your people, for one. Yeah, I mean, we can always talk about the processes, but I mean, it's the people that still make up the core business, and they have to be invested as well. They have to be, they have to know the brand, they have to understand the brand, but they also have to want to be a part of it. And when they are, I mean, it really shines, or rather, it really shows with the customer that, these people do care. And this is something that we want to be a part of as well. It gives them confidence moving forward with that massive purchase, that that they have made the right decision. And when you have that kind of experience with you, I mean, they're the ones who, to Liz's point, make those wow moments up at various stages throughout the entire process.
When it comes to identifying those moments, that's such a hard thing to pinpoint, because I think all of us really just try to view everything through the lens of how we would want something. It's that age-old tale of treat people how you want to be treated. And, if you were buying this big, beautiful dream purchase of a home, how would you want to feel? If it's a rainy day and I have to walk to my car, would I hope that someone walks with me with an umbrella over my head? Like, probably, and I think our people, much to Shane's point, do feel empowered to say, hey, this could be better. I have an idea. Can I do that? Or, hey, I want to do something special for someone. I say, is it okay if I do that? But most of the time they just do, because they know that that's what we're all striving for, and that they are as much a part of that experience as any one of us. And they don't need permission to make sure someone's day is really special.
So it's less about finding those moments and building those processes or programs, and it's more about just having a well-trained, well-bought in to the brand group of individuals who are just, living that essence and bringing that forward to the customer experience.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's a combination, for sure. You need to give people the structure and the boundaries to understand what is expected of them. But then you also need to really celebrate the wins and encourage them when something really cool presents itself. We have I'm sure Shane has way more than me, but even in my time here, I have a million stories I could tell you about really cool moments that our frontline teams just embraced and ran with, that are a part of the fabric of what Shane Homes is and what we've done over these years.
Yeah, I'd love to hear some of those stories and examples, just like one or two quick ones.
Well, even one
You-
quick one, even outside of that, is finding a customer with a flat tire on the side of the road, and our service person recognized that this is going way back, and they pulled over, helped them change their tire, made sure they got on their way, and I mean it would have been easy enough to slide by and just ignore the person sitting there, but they opted not to, and whether it's a home purchase or not, I mean that's a wow experience. They were there to help when the customer needed. They've made I've heard of accommodations that our people have made on the weekends because it fit the customer's schedule better for occupancy on a home. And regardless, I mean, the salespeople are at the show homes, but the service people are off. But they were willing to accommodate it. They figured, well, it's an hour or so out of my life, and it works for them. So let's just get this done. And that just makes the day that much better, knowing that we accommodated their schedule rather than them having to take another day off of work.
I love that tire one.
Yeah.
One that I love that's more recent than the tire changing one, which is one of my favorite stories every time it comes up. I love this one. But the one that's more recent that I can think of is we actually turned over a home to a family recently. And I got a call from our service representative who was turning over the home, and the adult son, who happened to be with his parents taking the home, was just gushing about how his whole life he dreamed about getting to live in a Shane home one day because he used to play on a Shane home sponsored soccer team. And he grew up playing on a Shane soccer team and just idolized the brand because he got to wear a Shane jersey. And it was just, he felt so special getting to live in a Shane home. And so it was their possession date was shortly before Christmas. And our service representative asked if we could get an adult size Shane jersey printed for him so that he would have one in his new Shane home to match his childhood jersey. And so we gave it to the parents, and it was under the tree on Christmas Day, and he was over the moon. He was so excited to get to wear a brand new soccer jersey that fit his adult shoulders after all those years of playing on a Shane team as a kid. So that was cool. That had nothing to do with fixing something in their house or making sure they got something on time. It was just seizing an opportunity for something that felt really special to that person and being able to pull off a little surprise. So I love that one.
So good. Like lasting impact and such a, like you mentioned, core memory, and like, wow, like definitely core memory. So good. Love that.
So those are such great stories. Like I love those experiences. Is there specific things that you look for? And maybe the answer to this is both, but are there specific things you look for when hiring, or are there specific things you do in training to make sure that these sorts of things become a reality for customers?
Oh, you're handing this one off to me to start?
Well, I don't know.
Who the hell have I hired over the last few years? Only managers.
Yeah, hired me.
Well, I mean, from that perspective, when you look at the executive or the at the GM level, that's where I'm more involved. You have to find people that fit your culture first and foremost, and again, buying into what we want for a customer experience is a part of that interview process. It's a part of the onboarding process. But you need people who believe in that in order to drive the message down, because it's easy enough for me to say, I want people to have a wow customer experience. It takes people like Liz to make the difference, because I can't make it all throughout the company unless, your management team buys into it. And that's, that's really what I'm looking for when I bring people on is that commitment and that passion for what they're going to do. And it runs along that lines of customer experience. And again, it runs right down to people in the organization like Liz who have to take that message and sell it to everyone else.
Yeah, and I think, when we're meeting people throughout the interview process, we take a lot of pride in really trying to get to know people. Of course, it matters that you know how to do your job and that you understand the fundamental skills. Those are very important things. But we also just want to know who you are. If we're spending all this time with you and you're spending all this time with our customers, we want to make sure not only are you a culture fit, but you will represent what Shane Homes is well out in the world. We're a company that people know. We've been around a long time. people resonate with us. And the number of times it's kind of come up in conversation with people I've just met that I work here, and then they've told me a story they have. It's really important that you have people who understand the impact of working here, and that sounds kind of horn tooty, I guess. but it really is, people have a brand connection already with Shane Homes. And through that onboarding process, we meet people, we make sure they're a culture fit, we explain to them what we care about when it comes to customer experience. And then as we onboard them and they start becoming familiar with the company, we really make a point of teaching them about the legacy of Shane Homes and teaching them about what our core values are and what that means and how you can apply that in your day-to-day. And I can honestly say I have never worked at a company where the president and the owner walk around with a cup of coffee every morning and say hello and know your name. And we have the luxury of actually getting to say hi to Cal Wenzel every day and say hi to Shane and hear those stories of the early days of this company being born and how we got here. And I think that understanding of the long running passion within this company really helps people to care and have an effect on how we make people feel in the end.
Yeah, so a really, really strong, top-down expression of how important that customer experience is.
Yes.
That's incredible. Liz, are you at all involved in hiring? Do you do interviews and hire people for certain positions, or do you input into the hiring process and questions and things like that?
Yeah, I do interview and hire people myself from time to time. And I do get asked a lot by other leaders in the company what specific things they should ask or how can they tweak the wording on something to help them understand if someone, gets the whole experience thing, or can they be coached in it? So I do have some peripheral input, and I am lucky enough to get to interview people myself sometimes, which is so fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And just such a great way of ensuring that those right characteristics are included in the candidates.
Yes.
Yeah. And that will be a fit for them. That's just as important, I think making sure that people will also have a good time here is important. We want people who are also pumped to come to work. I want to be pumped you're here. You want to be pumped you're here. Let's make sure that we're a good match.
Because that's the feeling that the customer is going to get, that's the feeling that comes down. We talk about it a lot, and Jordan and I have had the pleasure of working on some builder brands and, create a beautiful brand platform. But we know that if that is not trickling down throughout the whole organization and especially customer facing, your sales team isn't living the brand, site superintendents, anybody who's coming around and dealing on the day-to-day with the client, if that isn't coming down, you could preach it all you want at the top. It doesn't matter. It needs to be strong. So it's really refreshing to hear kind of your process. It's really nice. I have a question about, you talked a bit about kind of empowering your team to kind of capture a moment or seize a moment where they see an opportunity to enhance that brand experience and customer experience and bring in that wow factor. Do you have an example, or did something happen where somebody did that and it became something that you're like, wow, we're going to do this going forward, and has been part of kind of the Shane Homes experience?
Liz, you've got hundreds.
Well, I was like, there's probably hundreds. I don't know. I think, one that I really love is, it's all the little things. It's so, I find some of these questions hard, not because I don't know the answer, but because there's so many tiny things that build up this amazing experience. It's like, what do you pick? But I love, we had, and I can't remember, Shane might know, but I can't remember which team started doing it. But they had our homeowners sign their studs at their framing walkthrough, put a little note that would be built into the home.
Right.
And as soon as somebody heard about it, it was like, oh my gosh, that would be so cool. I want to do that. So now it's not a formal process we have. We have not told people they have to do it, but we constantly get pictures of cute little notes people wrote in their house. And, anything from so-and-so's first home and a date all the way to thank you, Shane Holmes, and it's written on the studs and baked right into the bones of their house. So I think that's kind of a cool thing that's just trickled among people and is now something everybody kind of does. We have a really cool dynamic on our teams where we've got people who started as recently as yesterday because we're growing, which is super exciting, and all the way to people who have been here for decades and decades and decades. We just had someone retire who recently celebrated 32 years with the company.
Amazing.
So it's sometimes hard to pinpoint where things start because there's people who have been here for so long and those experiences evolve through all those years and they just get picked up almost through legend and stick, Yeah. So that would probably be one that jumps out to me.
That's so interesting. And to that point then, Liz, do these things sort of like grow organically, or is there are there times when the team all gets together and they kind of share these experiences and they're like, oh, this is great, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do this, or it makes me think of that?
It's definitely a combination. So the signing the studs just happened and everyone got so pumped about it. They were like, I'm stealing it. We're like, do it. Yeah. So there's a bit of that. And then there's some of them are, hey, we were approached by this incredible startup company who has this really cool thing that would really impress our customers. What do you think? We really want to move forward with it. Let's get some feedback. And then there's the in-between. So a lot of our teams, especially our frontline teams, but really all of our teams, because everybody has a customer, whether it's internal or external. But it's often a topic of conversation at those team meetings to be like, hey, has anybody had any wins lately? Or has something cool happened for you? Or is there something we can improve on that's really grinding your gears or grinding our customers' gears? And then really brainstorming in that room, figuring out who it's going to affect. That's a big thing we really try to keep front of mind is, okay, this is a really great idea for, our drafting team, but is it going to have a negative impact on someone else? We need to be mindful of that because we're each other's customers too. Yes. And so, brewing that idea, vetting it to make sure that it's going to be positive for everybody, and then implementing it formally. That's probably what happens the most, is that kind of in-between area, I would say. Do you agree, Shane?
Oh, I do. I do. There's lots of experiences, but I guess to put a different twist on it, I kind of go back to one of the original experiences, and it was with our former field operations from many, many, many years ago. And I had this conversation with him. He popped into my office one Friday, mad as hell that a customer had gone outside of our plumbing company to get a clog cleared out of their toilet on the weekend. And he was furious. Because the customer said, you're paying the $300 bill. And after I got him calmed down, I said to him, Nels, how long have you spent on this file so far? And he says, well, I had to call Canyon Plumbing. I had to call this, got to do this. He says, talk to this person. Now I'm down here talking to you. I said, could we assume that you're up to about 4 hours here? He says, well, yeah, that would be about right. And I said, you and I have been talking for about 20 minutes already. I said, why didn't you just give him the $300 and just call it a day? Call it a customer satisfaction account or customer satisfaction or appeasement, and just remind them that they have to use our plumbing company in order to clear something like this in the future. And he thought about it and he thought about it and he finally agreed. And that message actually worked its way down through his entire team. And, I just threw a number at him just off the top of my head. I said, there's $50,000 set over here in this account just to keep the customer happy. You don't have to spend it, but you could spend it all. You could spend more of it, but just keep the customer happy. It's worth at least that, to not have to fight with them, not have to tell them they're wrong or win the battle. And that I think is important. I think that's where a person like Liz has really come in and help evolve what we were at that point, and it shows. And that's where stories like this from our salespeople come from, is that they feel empowered to make these decisions right on site. It never works its way up. They make these decisions. They make these wow moments. They make the customer happy every way through the process. And that's really what we're after. We're after that well-rounded total customer wow experience.
What a great example, Shane. Sometimes, I think in any industry, not just in home building, that is like a lesson for everyone, is like when you think about how many layers you have to go through sometimes for approvals, when it could have just been dealt with right away could have saved a lot of time and energy. So that's really, really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm. I have a question, Liz. Your role is fabulous, like customer experience manager. I don't see it too often, although it is so important. I have a question about your dynamic with other teams. Do you work with the sales team? Like, what teams do you work with directly? And like, what do you help inform or kind of inspire in regarding like processes with each team?
Everyone gets to hang out with me. So
Lucky group.
I'm responsible
Yes,
for
lucky
the
us.
overarching customer experience for the entire group of companies, which is the coolest job. So
Yeah.
lucky. So right from when a customer finds out who we are and stumbles on a website or through a community till 20 years after they buy a house, our internal team members, those are customers. Our vendor partners, those are customers. So I spend time with all of those people, everyone, really helping to educate and support the understanding of the difference between service and experience, really helping people understand what they are empowered to do and what they're enabled to do and how we're here to support. It's interesting. So when I first joined the company, I also managed our service and warranty team. So it was kind of a hybrid of the two, which was fantastic, really helped to understand the minutia of how everybody on an operational perspective works together here at Shane Homes, because every builder's a little bit different. And then, the more, and we've always had a focus on customer experience here, but the more we really understood how competitive it is and how we're being compared to other experiences in the world, very grateful for Shane and our executive team here really recognizing, okay, it's time and we need to have this be a sole focus. So we hired a service and warranty manager, oh gosh, maybe 6 or so months ago, 8 months ago. And that's when it tipped to have this be my sole focus. So right now, everybody gets to spend tons of time with me because while it's been a part of our culture for so long, we're really in this new phase and this new era of understanding how expectations have evolved and how people are now viewing us as a brand compared to other brands and how we need to also shift and what supports are available to people because it does feel very daunting, especially, the extensions of Shane Homes, our vendor partners who are in our houses and helping us build those houses. We want to support them and they are as much our customer as anyone else. So we want to be a resource for them too and help their businesses really thrive in this area and help our customers have a better experience on that end as well. So I'm kind of all over the map. Everybody gets to listen to me gush about customers all the time, poor things. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes, more of it. It's
Absolutely.
so awesome.
I think one of the things that is often an issue in home building is that there are so many different parties. There's sales, there's construction, there's post sales. And the problem is you can have such a different experience with each one of those. Maybe the salesperson's fantastic and you love them, and they're so communicative and they're on top of everything, but then it switches to construction. And it's like, well, I still need to, where's the communication? Where's all the things that I used to get with sales? So I love that you're so focused on making sure that that is like a seamless experience across every single one of those groups, because that doesn't happen very often, especially in home building.
true.
And
It's a hard thing
I
to
would have to
achieve.
agree with that.
And just recognizing the expectation, like Liz, you nailed it. Like the buyer's different. And we talk about this often. It's a different buyer right now. It's not the same as 20, 30 years ago. Millennials and Gen Z are very different and their expectation is different. And that's going to be the buyer. So, addressing that and understanding that, like my experience when I'm traveling and going to a great hotel is my bar is now set high for customer experience. And I'm going to expect that when I'm spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on a home. So that's a really, really good point.
As you should.
Mhm.
As you should. And that's, we've had lots of really great conversations, especially recently, about how I am comparing my dinner last night that I had and the service I got with my trip to the gas station, with my nail appointment, with my car I bought, with the house I bought. Like I'm comparing every interaction I have with every brand I work with against every single purchase. So like competition is stiff, which is amazing. Like, what a great challenge that people are having these unbelievable experience, so much so that their expectation has shifted. That's wonderful. It's a challenge, but it's a cool challenge. It's a cool way to look at your business. It's this new era of not just comparing yourself to other builders or other developers. It's like, we need to make sure that we're the best of all the experiences people have. And why shouldn't we be? We should be the most fun thing you do this year.
I love that.
Me too.
Yeah. You should be pumped you get to hang out with us.
You should be sad that after you buy your home and live in it, that you don't get to buy another one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you could. You could buy another one if you want to.
And hopefully you'll come back if you need to, right? That's that lasting impression, and like not
Absolutely.
wanting to deal with somebody after because you had such a fabulous experience. You should be like, hey, friends, hey, family, you're looking for a home? I'll tell you where to go, because it could go the other way. And again, when you're comparing not just the home building industry, but if you're talking about dinner, Liz, right? Like if you had a bad experience at a restaurant, like I'll tell Jordan sometimes, I'll be like, I'm not going back to that restaurant. It was like so disappointing. So imagine dinner compared to home buying. It's well worth the investment.
Yeah, it's crazy. The stakes are high. But again, like what a cool opportunity. It's neat to view things through that lens. There's a few folks here. I think Shane has said it to me before too. And so if I'm misquoting, please feel free to tell me. But I've quote unquote ruined experiences for people because everywhere they go, I got a text from one of our ELT members who was on vacation in Ireland. And it was, Liz, you're never going to believe the experience I just had. He's like, I can't look at anything the same way anymore because I just see it through the way you look at experiences, which is I was both delighted and very apologetic that he was thinking about work on his trip. But like, how cool. There's inspiration and opportunity in every moment of every day now. So that's a cool place to be working from.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're very lucky, I agree, that we get to do these kind of things and think about those processes. And something I love about this role and working with different home builders and collaborating, it's so fun. And there is inspiration everywhere. I was going to ask you about inspiration. You already answered the question. It is everywhere. So yeah, totally agree. Speaking of inspiration and what you were kind of speaking to, Liz, is there like a customer experience that kind of really stands out in your life or something recently that's really impressed you, and Shane, you as well?
I would love if she went first. Unless you need a minute to think about it, Shane, because I have like 50.
No, I mean, there's experiences out there. I mean, I run into very few wows. I've run into, a lot of really good experiences, and I've run into real crap like everyone else. It's hard to narrow it down, but it's easy enough to say Amazon, but I mean, I'll say even Wayfair has been a great experience because I've talked to them on the phone. I've had purchases that have worked out and purchases that have gone awry, and they've totally brought me back around to believing in the brand all over again, just because they took the time to talk to me, find out what the issue was, and it was really no concern. We'll just replace it for you. On to the next. We hope that we can count on your business in the future. If not, please tell us why. We're going to do a short survey afterwards. And I mean, that's wow when you don't have to get into a fight over a piece of furniture, because that complements the home. So I've always been impressed with Wayfair. Even on a smaller scale, just on a recent trip, I was really impressed by this Italian restaurant that we went to, because we had, God knows why, a waiter and a waitress working on a table of 7. But, that was impressive because, I mean, the water was literally always full. Somebody was standing within 3 feet of the table, and they, you're eating one meal and you stop eating it because it wasn't exactly what you thought of. They took it away. They brought back whatever I wanted. So I mean, there's a large scale one. Yeah. There's a smaller scale one. But those were 2 great experiences that I've had with a small brand and a large brand.
I've got a million, but I'll pick 2.
Of course you do.
I'll pick 2. So one is local. It just wowed me because it was so smart. It was so thoughtful. So there's a restaurant here in Calgary called 10 Foot Henry. I love it there. Shout out 10 Foot Henry. Yeah. And the first couple times I went there for dinner, I didn't notice how they did it. And I'm about to reveal a secret, but it's not really a secret. But they ask you when you sit down if you'd like still or sparkling water. And it doesn't matter who comes by your table to fill up your water. They always, because you go to restaurants and then I end up with flat water when I asked for still, and half of it was still and half of it was sparkling, and it tastes horrible now, and I'm disappointed. Which seems so like what a first world problem, but it's a thing.
I
It's
hear
the
you.
worst. I hate that
hear you.
too.
Yep.
It's the pits. But somehow at 10-foot Henry, no matter who is topping up your water in a drive-by, they always get it right. And it's because if you order sparkling water, the bottom of the glass that looks the same as everyone else's water glass is a little bit rounded, and the flat water is a little bit more square. And so by the shape of the glass, they have an unspoken way of being able to tell what type of water you're drinking. So no one has to ask you, did you have still or sparkling? They just do it, and it feels like magic. But it was this really thoughtful tweak they made that helps all of their team members have a way easier time, helps our customers have a way more delightful experience. And unless you're really watching like a crazy person like me, you probably wouldn't even pick up on it. So that's one that I think is really impressive. And then the other one that feels like a little more magical and a little special was I was fortunate enough to be sent to the Disney Institute earlier this year to train with that team for quality service. Oh my gosh, the most unbelievable experience ever. They just thought about everything, and they really treated that course as another opportunity to show you what a great experience is. And in that course, it was in Disney World, and they take you behind the scenes and show you how they apply the things they've taught you during the day. And after a day of being in the parks all day long, we come back, and they always had a snack ready for you when you got back. They're like, you're probably peckish. We'll keep you fed so you stay. Not that I wouldn't anyway. But we walk in, and they had hot Mickey pretzels hanging and Mickey bars, like the ice cream bars. And they said, you're now on your third day of being in the parks, and you've probably been looking at everybody eating these iconic treats that everybody's wanted to try for years and have felt jealous because you haven't been able to stop. So we wanted to make sure you didn't miss out on that experience. So we brought those park treats to you. And it was so little, but it felt so thoughtful because there were so many people in these courses who had never been to the park. This was like a dream trip, and they're spending the majority of the time in a classroom, and maybe they couldn't afford to buy tickets to go after, or maybe they couldn't extend their trip. So they made sure that the people in those courses didn't miss out on some of the magic that all those other guests got to experience. And so for me, that was really special because it was something so little, but so thoughtful and so intentional, and something I still talk about this day, and it was pretzels. So I think that really goes to show that you don't need to spend a ton of money. You don't need to go like out of the box too wide. You can really just be thoughtful about the people that you're interacting with and think about what would they need and anticipate those needs before they even know they need them. And that's really how you blow people's socks off.
Yeah, that's so smart.
I love Disney Institute. So good. I follow them all the time. I know that course. That's amazing that you did it.
Yeah.
Sign up right now. It was the coolest thing I've ever done.
Yeah, I love Disney Institute. They're so smart. Even like the little quotes they share. I always talk about one about process. If you have an internal process and it's causing like friction, and the result isn't causing like leading to something positive for the customer, just axe it. And that's like Disney Institute's like process. I'm like, I love it. It's so smart. And we're going to do it all the time now. Yeah.
Also, Liz, do I see Mickey ears behind you on your shelf?
Oh, my graduation cap, you mean?
Oh, that's so cool.
Love it.
Graduation cap, Mickey ears. I love it.
Yeah. It's the little things. I almost cried when I got them. I was like, I graduated from an elite college. This is unbelievable.
Better than graduating from any top university.
Harvard who?
Yeah. I have one final question. I can't think of another builder or even many other brands or companies who have a brand experience manager. And I love it. I think it's so interesting, so important, and I love what you're doing. But obviously most people don't have it. Most people aren't doing these kinds of things. Why is this important to you? Like, what does this do for Shane Homes or for your customers or for your employees or what, that you feel this is so important that we've got to invest this much into it?
Well, when you think of a lasting brand, I mean, we've managed to make it 44 years so far. We're going into our 45th year, and customer experience is one thing that we've always been good at. Now we just want to be great at it. And largely because the world has changed around us. People expect more. Like Liz has mentioned time and time again here today, is that, you're comparing your experiences from every brand that you go and visit. So we knew that we had to be better, and we couldn't continue on with just saying we believe in the customer experience and putting them at the top of our chart. We need to go to the next level. We needed to include our employees in a more invested way, and we needed to include our trade partners in a more invested kind of way. And we just want to stand out from the crowd. We want to be that endearing brand that lasts 100 years. And this is how we're going to do it.
That's incredible. I love that. Liz?
Well, I think I mean, obviously, I agree with everything Shane said. I think that really hit the nail on the head. I think that it's really cool to be able to have a relationship with the city and the communities and the people who live here that we love. We love this city with our whole hearts. And to be able to make an impact in the city and build those relationships that go through generations of families is such a cool thing we get to do, and we never want to lose sight of that. And so if we keep that close to our hearts, we have to make sure that our actions match our words and match our feelings, and that we continue to evolve and continue to meet our customers where they are. And we do have families where their third or fourth generation is buying homes with us. And we need to remember that they trusted us with that journey, but what they wanted is different than what their parents and their grandparents wanted. And maybe their parents and grandparents are still going to buy with us. So understanding what those things look like and really getting an intimate understanding of what our communities expect from us and what they need, and being able to meet them where they're at, is just something we care a lot about. And it's part of the reason we all come to work every day. So I hope, I probably will not be here in 100 years unless science really does a solid for me. But, I want to continue being pumped coming to work every day. And I want to continue inspiring people to be excited and continue seeing those delighted looks on our customers' faces for years and years and years. So it's the thing that is the most important to us. So why wouldn't we invest in that?
Such a good answer.
Thank you so much, Shane and Liz. That was wonderful.
Yeah, such a good conversation. Really appreciate
Thank you guys
coming on and chatting with us.
Thank you for having us.
That was a really great conversation. And honestly, probably could have continued that conversation for hours more.
What's your takeaway?
One of the things that Liz said that really sort of jumped out to me and was really interesting was how she talked about moments and how, just important it is to think about those moments and what you can do in those moments and make somebody's experience better. And I just loved that whole idea. And she talked about it and being connected to their customer as well. And, that's my word for season 3 is connections. And it's just those small moments and connections that just can make such a huge difference. And I love how they've just empowered their entire team through hiring and training to just be able to do those things without any kind of formal processes or any kind of, everybody has to do this and that. Like, it's just is like you're empowered to take those moments and make them special and make people happy and have fun. And it like, when you put it that way, it's just like so simple. But that's how they do it.
That was, especially when Shane was talking about how important fun is.
Yeah.
Like, that's refreshing.
Well, it was such a fun conversation.
It was such a fun conversation. And like when he was talking about that budget of like that like $50K or whatever it is of just like customer satisfaction, like don't dwell on something. Don't like go to so many levels and like make the customer wait, just deal with it. Yeah. And that makes such a big difference.
It's such a true thing in the example where it's like, you more often than not, you spend more time and money fighting the problem than you would have just giving into it and solving it in the first place. Mm-hmm. And, Shane's example was great. Pay the $300 and then just let them know that they need to call us next time. Mm-hmm. Great experience for the customer because it's like, okay, well, now I know, but like I also got it reimbursed. It's great. Yeah. And then for the company too, it's like, why fight? Yeah. Why fight?
Exactly. I love that. That was a good takeaway, Jordan.
Thanks.
My takeaway is also something Liz was talking about, and it's so like on the point about customer experience and brand experience. The buyer is different now, and this being really like understanding that, I guess, is the best way to describe it, and being aware that the buyers are expecting more and they are comparing all of their brand experiences and customer experiences that they're going like through on their daily basis to the home buying experience. So just understanding that and being aware of that makes such a big difference. And it really like empowers the team and inspires the team to be able to produce like a higher caliber of work and customer experience. It's like really, really smart to have that role for a home builder. Like a customer experience manager is so important. And the fact that she's working with all of the teams. She's not just working with like the sales team, which is the direct customer facing
100%.
team, but she's working with every team, and she's immersed in like the foundation of how the company is operating. And I just love it. It is so smart. If you can have that kind of team member in your organization, it is going to make such a big difference and create, I'm going to say my word of the season, consistency in everything you do. And it's for sure going to be felt by the customer.
Yeah. She's that thread all the way through.
Common thread. You need it.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Such a good episode.
So fabulous. Thanks, Jordan.
Thanks, Selena.
Bye.
See ya.
This has been Build Up, a ZGM podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and subscribe on your favorite listening app. Thanks to Shelby, our editor and producer, Scott for our original music, and you for listening along. Be sure to follow us on your favorite social platform at Build Up Podcast.